And welcome. It's the favorite part of everyone's Monday. And if not, it is mine. Get to spend an hour or 45 minutes or 40 or however long we go. It's Matty Lawrence. I'm Glenn Crooks, and we're your New York City FC English radio commentators. So we get to see all those games, including the one this past weekend at Stade Saputo. Matty, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Glenn. I'm doing very, very well. As you said, we had the pleasure and the privilege of going up to Montreal to watch that game. It certainly felt like a pleasure and privilege beforehand. So maybe not so much afterwards. But I think whatever we felt, Glenn, you know that the players, the fans who travelled up there as well, and the coaching staff probably felt doubly bad because it was another poor performance individually and collectively, and on top of that, another poor performance up at Montreal against a team who aren't very good. Statistically, they aren't very good. They haven't been for the last 3 or 4 years since Wilfried Nancy left, really. And is that the third 1-0 loss on the trot, or the fourth 1-0?
So it's fourth and second. Well, no, it's third 1-0, and then it was 2-0 at the end of the 2024 season. So 4 straight shutout defeats against Montreal. And when it occurred last year, it was it seemed even more dismal because Montreal was so poor.
Yes.
But now they've changed coaches, and you can talk about some of the different players, but Owusu's a legitimate striker, and he scores the winner for the second time against New York City in his career.
Absolutely. Owusu's a legitimate striker, but he's unfortunate that he doesn't get many chances playing for Montreal. He scores a lot of goals considering he's playing for Montreal. He's a handful. We saw that. I think Ian Joyce said he bullied Kai Truin on commentary when I re-listened to rewatched the game, and I would agree with that. I thought Kai Truin ended up on the floor far too many times playing up against Owusu. Sometimes I found in my experience, sometimes when you're playing up against somebody who's bigger and stronger, then you don't get too close to them. You stay touch tight, but only touch tight. You don't get right up against them because they're just going to shrug you off as he did for the goal. But yes, Owusu's legit.
As a defender, don't you want to do with maybe any forward player, but especially in the situation you're describing, kind of go in on him, then back in on him, just really alter your approach, alter which side you're showing up on, because you want to at least in some way keep them off balance, you would think.
Well, certainly I want to have them in my sight. That's the thing. And Kai Truin didn't have Owusu in his sight for the goal. I'm with you. You can have buffeting. The ball's coming into the box. You have a bit of buffeting. But you see that both Martins and Kai Truin, and Martins probably more rightly so, are both ball watching, both facing the ball, and neither of them have any idea where Owusu is. And
let's take a look at it, as you heard on the New York City FC Radio Network, and then immediately following this 60-second clip of our description, Matty, I'm going to go to post game, the comments from Pascal Janssen, as he describes what was the game-winning goal, and it came in the 18th minute.
Beyond all, but now a free cross in front and a goal by Owusu. And New York City trails 1-0 as Longstaff got it. No one approached, so without the denial of service, he of the very good delivery, as we defined earlier, curls it in, and then the big body of Owusu, he gets in front of the defender and first times it past Matt Freese from about 6 or 5 yards. And New York City on the road, and they trail CF Montreal 1-0.
Well, again, it's just a player getting caught the wrong side, and it's Kai Truin gets caught the wrong side of Owusu. Owusu's behind him. Owusu's got the jump on him. But that all stemmed, Glenn, from this right-hand side, Montreal's right-hand side, when Kevin O'Toole dived in on Bugaj. That's where it happened. You either foul Bugaj or you hold him up, and he did neither. And Bugaj turns, spins, and that's where the move comes from.
Yeah, good description. We didn't quite see that start of it on the highlight package, but O'Toole just came up and just technical defending. Sometimes you look at the technical defending, your decision to step high and win the ball. If you can't, what you do then. And he got beaten pretty cleanly by a guy that we were pretty impressed with, this David Bugaj, the Polish national.
Yeah, specifically in the opening 20, 25 minutes of the game, Bugai pushed Farnhouse right back, didn't he? So he had to push back. So he didn't offer anything in the attacking sense. And then Kevin O'Toole, for the goal. It was clever from Bugai. Bugai got his body in between O'Toole and the ball. And so there's no way that O'Toole can win the ball cleanly. So then what you've got to do is you've got to make sure you foul him. You've got to make sure you foul him so he can't turn. As it was, he turned, he spun, and it was his cross into the box, where the ball then ended up, Tavon Gray flicked it back on towards the back post. But yeah, it was poor defending by 3/4 of the back four. I'll leave Martins out of it. I don't think there's anything he could do about it. But O'Toole, Gray and Kai Truan are all culpable for that goal. Gray by not stopping the cross. We talked about it long and hard, stopping service into the box. Pascal Janssen has talked about it way more than I have, way more than you have.
You'll be curious to hear this post-game comment from him. It's in regard to the Owusu goal, but he refers to something in the past.
It's a similar goal that we conceded against Vancouver. The second goal we conceded against Vancouver is almost a duplicate from this goal. So in this moment, you see what we're struggling with at the moment is to bring the right intensity in this moment to either block the cross or defend our box. Owusu is a strong striker, obviously, but I think we should be doing a better job in these moments and handling these type of situations with some more, I would say, courage in order to defend the box at the right moment. And that's what we didn't do in this particular moment.
Pascal's been doing a lot of pausing lately because he wants to be very careful with how he describes these things. And because he doesn't want to, publicly, take down, individuals who can, these are correctable items. And, but he's been talking about this sort of intensity. What are the other words? But it's since the Miami game, which is, an interesting part of all this is that
he's using intensity, courage, bravery, willingness to stop crosses, willingness to stop your opponent getting to the ball first. There's a whole host of adjectives, and they're all absolutely correct. And we saw from the clip, Tavon Gray stands still, doesn't attack Longstaff.
Yeah, there's almost an indecision between him and whoever was to the right.
Ojeda, it is.
It was like, and that's where communication comes.
It doesn't matter. It's much better two of you going to close down the cross than none of you going to close down the cross. Both of you get there and force his head down, because Longstaff looked a very good player in that game. I think Longstaff is a decent player, but only a decent player. But NYCFC made him look very good. And if you allow a player who's quite good to pick their head up and pick a space, I don't think he was specifically aiming for Owusu. He was just trying to curl it in behind the defence. And as you say, Pascal said it was virtually identical to the Vancouver game. Again, Tavon Gray not stopping the cross. Again, we say it, and we've said it on Coffee Break Live on Monday.
First principle of defending. This is the way I learned it. First principle defending, deny service.
Yeah.
First
deny
principle
service.
Defending.
If your life depends on it, can you stop the cross? And undoubtedly, more than 90% of the time, the answer is if your life depends on it, you can get there and stop the cross. Or at worst, you force the person who's crossing the ball their head down, so they don't have the time to pick their head up and assess what's going on in front of them. So
or alter, or if maybe you approach and don't deny, but you alter it.
He has to curl it round you a little bit more. Absolutely. You just have to be a block. But look,
there's the goal. That's it, and you lose on the road just based on that one moment there. And there's moments that you could have equalized, but we'll get to one of those in a bit. But by the way, you see, I'm drinking out of my Arturo's.
Arturo's.
I can't remember. Have you been to Arturo's yet?
I have, many times down on
Houston Street. Yeah. It's just it's great pizza, Italian, but also a piano and. Generally, sometimes you've got a piano and an upright bass and somebody's singing. It's just a calming experience. So this might be what the team needs: a little team trip to Arturo. I'm just gonna.
They definitely. I agree. They definitely need a togetherness, a coming together. Because I saw for the first time in the game at the weekend, players getting disillusioned maybe with themselves and with their teammates around them. And I can think of three. It was Thiago Martins. it was Nico Fernandez-Macau, and it was Maxi Morales. Three of the leaders of the team, I would say, both in terms of vocally and their quality, leading by example. And they were all disillusioned in that game on Saturday, and you could see it. They were throwing their arms around. Right. They were staring at people after the goal. Martins throws his hands up, shakes his head. There was far too much negativity from the true leaders of the team, and you understand why. I'm not saying that's a bad thing in a way. I understand why. I'd have been exactly the same.
Yeah,
but they lost. I don't want to say they lost their heads, but they were losing their cool and their composure a little bit. And you haven't seen that this season from those guys. But also, you haven't seen this many games without a win. It dates right back to, what is it, March the 22nd or something, without a win. You understand people are getting frustrated. More than annoyed, people are getting frustrated. And those frustrations are now being shown, Glenn.
Yeah, so they're frustrated as leaders. And then I'm going to show you the second yellow. So Tavon Gray in the 74th minute gets booked with a foul on Jaime. The DP, Ivan Jaime, the left winger. So he and Gray were going at it most of the game. And then 4 minutes later, this happened. We could just talk through this, Matty, but it happened along the near sideline. Jaime comes up with the ball, and then we're going to see a couple of replays here too. And so this is Tavon Gray coming off a yellow card, and then from behind just chopping down Jaime, which is an automatic yellow. That probably was a candidate for a straight red too. I mean, it was just an absolute chop down.
If it had been higher, I think absolutely, because the ball has gone. The ball had left the feet of Jaime a good second or so before Gray just swiped. And it's not a challenge because he's not going for the ball. He's not playing the ball. The ball's disappeared a long time ago. The ball's almost out of camera shot. It's purely a bit of ego. It's feels slighted because Jaime had knocked him to the floor just 2 seconds before. And there was no way in the world that Tavon Gray, you could see the steam coming out of his ears, the red mist had come down. I hope that everybody who was on the bench in front of him was shouting, stay on your feet, don't dive in, because you could see it coming. It was coming a mile off. Yes, it happened quickly, but it was just naive, senseless, stupid. You can call it what you will, Glenn. It wasn't a football challenge. It was a challenge of, I feel slighted, almost my manhood has been questioned or something because he'd been knocked to the floor, and it was just something that you would expect. I
think the thing we've been on Tavon for the last couple of games a little bit, and rightly so, and I think we've offered our praise.
Absolutely,
predominantly it's been praise of Tavon Gray for his defending, his improvement on the attacking side, the different things, but recently, it's just been a little off for him, and maybe it's that sense of frustration that kind of took him over at that moment. But the idea is your team is down a player. You're down a goal, down a player now for the final 12 minutes plus what was 6 more minutes of stoppage time in an effort to have a chance to get out of there with a point. So from a teammate standpoint, it was disappointing.
Yeah, you hope he holds his hand up in the dressing room after the game and apologizes, but also that's then coming a little bit too late. But as long as he was brave enough to stand up and apologize, I understand as a sportsman, you sometimes get frustrated, sportsman or sportswoman for that matter. You get frustrated. The red mist does come down sometimes. You're a competitor. Sometimes you do feel a bit slighted because you had just been knocked down. I'm trying to excuse it slightly. Look, there is no excuse. Certainly not for somebody who's played 120 games of football. If you've only played 1 or 2 and you're inexperienced, I get it. But he's not. And it's not only what happens in that game, the last quarter of an hour of the game, because there was additional time as well, over a quarter of an hour. It's then what happens in the next game as well. Drew Bierra is out with a season-ending, you assume season-ending ACL injury. Micha Ilinic was let go in the summer, was allowed to go so that Drew Bierra could come in to be number 2. There is now no right back. We know there's people who can play right back. Kai Truan could play right back. Tanasiewicz could play right back. But that's it. And you're having to jiggle the defence around once again. And it's a defence that's struggling as it is.
Yeah.
So it's not only that game. You have to think of the knock-on effect to the next game as well, which is now another must-win game.
I've thought a little bit more about it. I think Strahinja Tanasiewicz will get the opportunity because he's been there before. He's gone in an emergency situation at right back before as a reserve and did very well. So that's coming in late and having to perform at that moment. So over the course of a full match for a guy that's played, what did we say, 16 minutes all season long? That's the other side of it. And we'll see what, you've got a U.S. Open Cup game coming up Wednesday in New Jersey that you also have to sort out how that'll all go. And as you said on our ride home, you figure Tavon Gray will definitely play in that game, to help others maybe rest for the weekend.
It's whether Tavon Gray plays or whether Tanasiewicz starts at right back and you maybe feel him into the position. Because as you said, he hasn't played many MLS minutes or whether Tanasiewicz maybe just plays a half and Tavon Gray plays the second half to save Tanasiewicz, because Tanasiewicz, it will be hard for him to play 90 minutes in the Open Cup and then 90 minutes a game. Sure. But also you want to give him some minutes at right back. Tanasiewicz as a nightmare. I think he's one of only two options. I think he's a decent defender. I think it takes away from you going forward because he's not a ball player, he's a centre half.
How about three at the back? Ojeda wing back.
Three at the back is a possibility, but you haven't played that way at all season. It doesn't mean that as a professional you can't do it, but I think that would be, again, not foolish. I think that would be tricky to do. I don't think I'd do that. I would have Tanasiewicz, I think, as the right back. Probably keep Truin and Thiago Martins as centre halves and have O'Toole. But look, you can hold an argument or give an argument for why anybody can be dropped in the team, apart from Nico Fernandez-Macau, probably Maxi Morales, Matt Freese and Thiago Martins. Anybody else is disposable right now. Aidan O'Neill, actually, I think is doing a decent job.
Yeah, I think so too.
But there's only a handful. What's that? 5 names who are guaranteed spots. Hannes Wolf's coming off an injury, hasn't been particularly productive. Ojeda didn't have a good game against Montreal. So everything's up in the air. And do you, in this US Open Cup game on Wednesday, do you start the team that you would expect to start against DC United on Sunday? You've got that extra day's rest. It's Wednesday to Sunday. Right. And maybe start the starting 11 for the half. I don't know, but you probably would want to rest the older heads.
We are live here. So today at 1:45 Eastern, Pascal Janssen will be holding a presser, which is a pregame presser for the U.S. Open Cup game on Wednesday, but he'll be fielding a number of questions, including at least one from me regarding the Saturday game in Montreal. So those are the kinds of things that are really interesting. He's not going to give the lineup out, but I think it's still an interesting question of the Profe. So there was the red card, 78th minute, and New York City actually played pretty well after that. Because now and I even asked you in commentary, it's like Montreal all of a sudden is like, they're almost on their heels, just trying to win it 1-0, protect it, knowing they're up a man. But instead of like going forward to try to get the second, they were just sitting back, and New York City's getting chances like this one.
And here comes Seymour Reed breaking through. Tyler Magno, 2 versus 2. Square ball to Magno, and he strikes it right at the keeper. From 12 yards out, Magno just right at the penalty spot. Good ball from Seymour Reed. And Magno, who scored a week ago, he just put his hands to his face as CF Montreal now has a throw-in along this near touchline deep in their own end.
Yeah, that was an ugh moment because you could have stolen a point there.
Yeah, you could have and you should have. Certainly, Tyler Magno should be making the goalkeeper work harder. He hits it straight at the goalkeeper. Gillier didn't even need his hands. He could have put his hands by his side and he'd have saved it with his chest. It was that much straight at him. I thought the ball in from Seymour Reed was really good. It was perfectly weighted, nicely just across the face of Tyler Magno. I think he's got to be going for the goalkeeper's right, Tyler Magno's left-hand side of the goal. I think the goalkeeper is automatically, his weight is on his left foot. So to jump back to his right would be more difficult. And as it was, he made it very easy, Tylus Magno, because the goalie didn't even have to make the save. Tylus Magno made the goalie make the save by hitting it straight at him. I know Tylus had only been on for a little while, getting up to the speed of the game, things like that. But a player of his technical quality, you just pass that into the bottom corner of the net. But did he try to hit it too hard? He went with the inside of the right foot. But whatever it was, Tylus can tell us. But it wasn't a good effort, and it should have been a goal.
So it ends 1-0, and getting ready for this U.S. Open Cup game. And I suppose, for me, it's more importantly the DC United game. So you get back on the right track, leading into the World Cup break, because there's not many matches left now. There's only 5 before that break. And you finish at Nashville on May 23rd. And Nashville, as we've seen, is a tough out, probably the most difficult out, certainly in the Eastern Conference, and maybe, just maybe, in the league. Hey, Friday night, so your former college mate, Ian McIntyre, the coach at Syracuse, you went out and helped him scout at a local youth game.
I certainly wasn't helping him scout, but I did stand next to him. My scouting abilities are probably
you didn't offer any. Don't worry. Are you worried about recruiting violations here?
No, of course not. No. I'm just saying that I was stood next to him and I was listening. So yes, we went up and watched a couple of his players. Who I think he hopes will come into his college. I don't think it's
nice.
Definite. But yeah, it was wonderful. It was very, very cold though, Glenn, up in Montreal. The minute the sun went down.
Too. I went to a Canadian.
Yeah, but you were at the Broad Sandwich Brigade.
I was in the owner's box,
exactly.
which it's not a fancy thing, but they did have heating elements in there and food and drink. So I will readily admit I had a glass of red wine with many of the troops up there, including my great friend Marco Masucci, who invited me in. But it was and you had Vanni Sartini coaching for Halifax against Supra, which is the local Quebec team, an expansion team, and a friend of mine is the assistant coach there. So it was really a fun night. The level was decent. I guess I'd give it a USL League One kind of level if you've seen those games or any of those games. It's kind of in that. But what I really like, Matty, is the fact that everybody on both teams was Canadian. And from what I've heard, there's 8 teams only. It's in its 5th year, the CPL, so it's a very young league. And I have to be honest, I don't know if it's a requirement or it's just the way it is right now. But it's all Canadians on these rosters, which I like that. I like that.
Yeah, absolutely. And to grow the game, we were up in Montreal, and I as you said, I went to watch some. It's probably sort of collegiate level players, so young boys and or younger guys, and before them there was like an under 15s training session, but it was all very good standard, Glenn. That's what I'm trying to get at. It's a good standard, and it's local. It's Quebec. It's Montreal. And I think there is a real pool of talent there. So yes, why not stay local, and why not look at the local talent? Because it has got that. It's just the right slice of European and North American in Montreal. Obviously, mainly French speaking. A lot of people very much have this. It's either a soccer background or a hockey background. I feel I might be wrong, but just looking at
and
it,
a little
around
of
the town.
I met somebody that had both, played both sports, and
yeah, exactly. I just mean baseball's not so big, American football's not so big, basketball's not so big. It just feels that the two big sports are hockey and soccer, and as you say, you can easily combine the two.
I think that's accurate. Now, on Friday night, which is interesting, mentioning hockey, the Habs were playing the Canadiens, and so I ended up going out to dinner at a place where we'd been before, and they had the TV, everything was on, and it was there when the overtime goal was scored. But this is what was interesting. Walking to the restaurant after the game, there was nobody on the streets. I mean, it was like the pandemic, and it's everybody's inside watching the Canadiens.
Yeah.
But
that's great.
That's the level of, love for the Canadians, and also hockey. Hockey beats soccer by a significant margin in Canada. But
absolutely.
Anyway.
But it's great that everybody comes together. It doesn't matter what sport it is. Yeah. It's great that everybody comes together and is cheering, obviously, for their team. And that's the thing. In Montreal, you've got the Canadians, and then CF Montreal, haven't you? There's not a great deal of other sport to cheer for, or certainly not rooted or steeped in Montreal history. So yeah, it's great. It's great to see.
Somebody commented. Let's see if I can find it really quickly. Yeah, I think this is it. I'll bring it up here. But I put up, I on social media, I promote the fact that we're doing these, pregame live and whatever else we do. Sometimes I put a picture of us. And this is an old picture of us, but you are wearing a Montreal Expos shirt. And this is at Stade Saputo in a booth where it was not the same booth we had yesterday. This is a past game. But I put this up and somebody commented about, oh, that's a cool shirt that Matty's wearing. It's the old Expos, man.
It's the old Expos. Do you know what? And I just didn't have time because I remember the store I bought that from, and I wanted to get back and buy some more stuff, but or some more apparel, but yeah, we just didn't have the time. It's a very flying visit into, pun intended, into Montreal. We were there for 26 hours, but yeah, it was awesome. It's always awesome to be around, firstly the stadium, and then around the players and the staff as well. And yeah, you get a sense of just how much it means to the players. There was not many, and rightly so, not many happy faces on that plane ride home. And yeah, you can see that it's cutting deep. I think that's what I'm getting at. It's cutting deep. It's hurting everybody associated with the football club, whether that's Brad Sims, the president, who was also on the flight, all the way down. You can see it's hurting people, and you would expect that, of course. But it's not nice to see, of course, but it's good to see that everybody's in it together. It's very much a collective mentality. The team wins as a whole, not just as the 11 players who stepped out initially.
I think you sense that for certain. And I'm sure Maxie wouldn't mind me saying this, but I did see him afterwards. We observed his frustration. Yeah. And he used the word frustrated, in the airport to me. It's just, what else can you say? It's like they're trying to solve it. And sometimes these things that are not right in front of you as to why, you could talk about structure and this and that. But boy, when certain things don't happen that have happened before, and that's the conundrum right now for Pascal, is he's seen, and this is any coach, you see a player do something or you see a team do something, and then you see them do something else that takes away from the possibility of a positive result. And you're like, wait a minute. We were doing it the right way for so long. What just happened?
Well, the first 4 games of the season, wasn't it? The first 4 games of the season were magnificent, and it's the same players, it's the same formation, it's the same coaching staff.
But what happens, Matty? What happens, and I think what's happened here is some of those same errors were being committed in those games. Maybe not to the extent where, it was in that critical moment. And sometimes positive results hide some of the deficiencies, and then you get complacent. And I think we talked about that word before we came on, or maybe it was with somebody else earlier. I can't even remember, but that word complacent comes out, and man, I don't like that word. No. And I don't like that word associated with anybody playing anywhere in the United States of America. Maybe you could be complacent if you're playing for Bayern Munich, with 2 matches left in the regular year and you've already clinched the title. Maybe. Yeah. Maybe. And even that's not acceptable. But don't tell me, how do you become complacent as an MLS team that, I don't know. Yeah. No one in MLS should ever be complacent, I think is what I'm saying.
No, because the parity is so obvious as well. You should never, as you say, you should never be complacent, even if you're Bayern Munich playing against whoever, Freiburg, or Bayern Munich playing against St. Pauli. You can't be complacent because anything can happen. But specifically in MLS, where the parity, unless you're SKC, the parity is very, very close in MLS, whoever you are, of the 30 teams or of the 29 teams without SKC. But I would hope that nobody gets complacent after 4 games, Glenn. It's only 4 games. It's a tight. There's still 30 games left to go. But you're right. But so what
we've seen the U.S. men's national team get complacent after they win a couple of friendlies, well,
it beggars belief, Glenn, that that anybody of any ilk, whether it's under 10s, under 12s, under 15s, let alone professional athletes, to get complacent. And I'm not leveling that at anybody right now. But
no,
it's certainly
that could be debated. If somebody wants to debate us on that word, go for it. But
the
that
proof is in the results and the fact that the same thing has happened time and time again. I do think you're right that some of the defending was happening in the opening 4 games, or lack of defending, or lack of quality in defending. And because of quality at the other end of the field in scoring goals, those cracks were papered over a little bit.
Yeah.
But now it's been a number of games where the quality in front of goal hasn't quite been there, and also it's not just in front of goal, it's in the final third. Certainly against Montreal, the quality wasn't there in the final third. It wasn't just Tyler Magno didn't finish one effort. It was the fact. Well,
remember the other thing too, Matt, is the number of times New York City was playing up a man themselves. So remember at LA to open the season 1-1, but you had the red card in that game where you couldn't quite get the 3 points. At Philadelphia, Tavon Gray, scoring a great goal to beat Philadelphia, but with up a man in that game. Orlando City, remember? Good old. Why am I forgetting his name? The Canadian keeper. Help me. Who came out of the area?
I was going to say Drake Callender, but
Drake Callender.
Dane Sinclair.
No. He came out against Miami.
Maxime Crepeau.
Thank you very much. Yeah, so he came out. So now you're a man up for like almost the entire game, and you win 5-0. Colorado, who I thought played a very good game.
Yeah.
New York City wins that one 3-1, and then the loss to Miami, and it's gone from there. So, there was also that New York City played 11 versus 10, a lot of minutes in the opening 4 games.
But we also know that lots of people have played 11 versus 10 and haven't taken advantage of it. And sometimes it is difficult to do that. But your point is absolutely prevalent. It's the right one. Yeah, some of those wins came against 10 men and against 10 men for a large period of time in some of the games. But I do think the manner with which they approached those games, and into Miami as well. I don't think there's anything wrong with the Inter Miami performance.
No,
the Charlotte performance I thought was good. I just think the Vancouver performance wasn't good enough, and I think there's been too many performances that haven't lasted for 90 minutes. We know that the other team's going to have 15-minute spells and 20-minute spells, but the switching off at important moments, the amount of goals that have been scored late on against NYCFC has been unacceptable. And then the lack of confidence sets in. Then it becomes very, very difficult to change things. Winning breeds winning and losing breeds losing. And when you haven't won a game for well over a month now, apart from the US Open Cup game that I don't think you can really include, it becomes very, very difficult. What it does do is it makes Wednesday's US Open Cup game incredibly important. You think that to get that winning feeling back into the football club as a whole, that might help, because it's against MLS opponent. You're not playing Westchester. You're not playing a USL 1 team, with all due respect to them, that they don't have the quality. But against New York Red Bulls, even if they put out their reserves, New York Red Bulls reserves will be the older, more experienced players anyway, won't it? You'll see the likes of Choupo-Moting playing and Forsberg. I know Choupo-Moting and Forsberg have played a little bit this season anyway.
Yeah, actually Choupo-Moting
Nealis, he started at the weekend, and look what happened. So
So before we get to that, one other person I bumped into at this Supra game, and I thought I'd mention it, Mauro Biello. Some may know that name, some may not, but he's a Montreal lifer, but he is one of the 10 Montreal Impact / CF Montreal head coaches in their history, which began in 2012 with Jesse Marsh. He is now assisting Jesse Marsh with the Canadian men's national team. And I thought he told a great story because the coaching staff has visited Jesse at his home in Tuscany. Now, if anybody wants to see where Jesse Marsh is living, it's pretty cool. Ben Jacobs, who is I don't know who he writes for. I've seen his stuff, but he recorded something on YouTube, and it's an interview with Jesse, but it's all visual with shots of where he lives, overlooking the vineyards, and he can see the Leaning Tower of Pisa is in the back right corner, and it's really pretty incredible where he lives. But Jesse's very much he has gardens, and he's really into it. So Morrow said that there was one time they had a meeting at his place. They were all there, and then they had this meeting called for whatever time, and Jesse was a little late, and he apologized, but he said he was picking the olives because he makes his own olive oil. Now I think that's pretty cool. Yeah. I like that. If you're going to be late to a meeting.
Yes, it's a good reason. It's not a bad place in the world to live. Let's be honest. We know that as a national team manager, you don't need to live within the country.
Right. Exactly.
Because let's be honest, an awful lot of the Canadian players are playing in Europe anyway, playing much closer to him in Italy. Obviously, Italy part of Europe than if he was living in Canada. So it does make sense. That's for certain. And yes, it's a very, very nice part of the world. And if you can have vineyards and olive orchards on your property as well, that makes it pretty nice as well.
Yeah. You go on YouTube and find this thing, Jesse and Tuscany, and it's pretty, because Morrow also shared some photos that he had taken. It was like, all right, this is cool. And his son was playing, which is why I'm thinking, why? I mean, Morrow, he's supportive of the Montreal scene, but his son was playing midfield. Alessandro for Super. All right, let's get on to, so the Red Bulls lost to Cincinnati 2-0, their most recent match. The thing I noted, Cade Cowell was in the lineup. Cade Cowell still hasn't scored a goal, which is interesting. I thought he'd be, and he got and what made me think of it is I just watched the highlights, and he was on the right, came to the middle, top of the area, struck a left-footed shot, and it, right at the keeper, and comfortable save, and that's where I learned he hadn't scored. Whoever was commentating on the game said it, and I was like, "Whoa!" I looked it up to be certain. And also in that game, Evander drew a penalty. It was identical to the where Kevin O'Toole dragged him down. He got beat. There was another teenage defender for the Red Bulls. They've had. Dos Santos
has been playing. I saw they had a different guy playing as left back. I think
his name was Bungie, and he's an international, and he's 19 years old.
Yeah, 19. Is he Belgian? Is he Belgian?
Yes, that's right. He's Belgian. Yeah. So he played. So they've had these teenagers on the left, but he got beat badly a couple of times. But Evander draws the penalty, and I made it 2-0 against O'Toole. It was the one that tied up that game after New York City was up 4-2. So no telling, I guess, who Michael Bradley will put out there for this Open Cup game. The Red Bulls always come in full bore on these games. Not to say that New York City hasn't, but I think the Red Bulls have been more intent and they have a better record. I mean, New York City does not beat the Red Bulls and haven't in anything in outside competition.
Yeah.
Imagine that. They haven't beaten the Red Bulls in any outside competition.
Yeah, I think it's a game that both teams will very much be up for because of where they're sitting right now, because of the fact that they haven't performed that well recently. NYCFC have obviously been inconsistent, very good at the beginning of the season and poor ever since. And New York Red Bulls have been inconsistent throughout the season, very up and down. They'll win one game, they'll lose the next, win one, lose one. And you expect that when you're playing a lot of youngsters as well. And especially when you've got a new manager, new ideas, new principles being drip fed into the team. So it's understandable. But yeah, I think both teams will play strong lineups. I think there'll be two strong lineups. It'd be great to see some youngsters on show for New York Red Bulls as well. It's always great to see when younger players are coming through and being given time. Matty, Julian Hall, obviously, we know Dos Santos possibly will play as a left back. It's nice to see those guys who are 17, 18 years of age. And it'd be nice to watch them now and then hopefully in 6-7 years' time when they're at the peak, say, oh, yeah, I remember watching them when they'd only played 20 or 30 games of football, or likes of Dos Santos and Matty, even fewer.
Yeah, it brings to mind, I want to go back and play this because Pascal Janssen, after the loss in Montreal, was asked about Arnau Farnos, who was making his first career start in an MLS game for New York City FC. He's 23 years old, not a teenager, but they had just signed him that morning to a first-team contract. And the question was why Farnos and not Tylus Magno in for the injured Hannes Wolf?
That's an easy one. Tylus Magno is for us a stand-in for the number 9 position and not the number 11. So that's an easy one. And Arnau, since he came with us and is eligible to play for the first team, has shown that he's a good option for us on the left side. And that's the reason.
So there you go. That's the
interesting.
reason.
Yeah. I didn't realize he'd be so blatant about it, Pascal Janssen, in that Tyler Magno, he told him that he wants to be a centre forward, so he's a centre forward. I'm not suddenly now going to put him out at left wing when I've got Arnau, who's done well in the minutes when he's played. That's the 90 against Westchester and the few minutes he played against a couple of the other teams as well. I know it's only very small sample size, but he looked technically very good. Arnau before the game, he was getting into good positions in the previous games. Against Montreal, it was hard for him to get into the game because the whole team was poor. He did get in behind once, didn't he, when he had the little chipped effort that caught Jalen Neal, which was quite unlucky. But he made some wonderful runs that probably people didn't see because he wasn't found. And if the ball doesn't find you, you rarely see those off the ball moves unless you're actually at the game, because you see all 22 players when you're at the game. If you're watching on TV, you only see 6 or 7 players all the time. Very rare that the camera pans out. So I think Arnau did some very good work, some very diligent work. And I think he certainly didn't do himself any harm. I didn't suddenly think, wow, he's the man. Let's get him straight into the side. But certainly he's somebody I wouldn't be worried about bringing on for 20, 30 minutes here or there. Or if he starts the game against New York Red Bulls in the US Open Cup, I think he's somebody who will get better and better. As you say, he's 23 years of age, but inexperienced. He could be 16, 17 in terms of how many minutes he's played. Julian Hall, who's 18, will have played many, many, many more minutes, and he's 5 years younger. So age isn't always the thing. It's the experience or lack thereof as well.
Nico Fernandez-Mercado on the left, according to Quinny. Magno through the middle. Well, Fernandez-Mercado has been a right-sided forward when he's had that opportunity, and that's really where he's most comfortable. He's most comfortable as the 10.
Yeah.
But we see him, he drifts all over the place. He's really, he's playing the 9.5, the false 9. You could call him a 10.5, actually, because he really drifts like an attacking midfielder.
Yeah, he does. He's got that license to roam, and he's also got the football intelligence to be anywhere as well. And I think around him, he's got people with good football intelligence. So if he drops in as a 10, Maxi goes and plays as a 9, and sometimes even he drops as deep as a number 6 sometimes, and then Keaton Parks will push a bit further forward. So the players have got that license to roam. Nico Fernandez-Mercado is certainly not a number 9, but it's worked so well. We can't say that it hasn't worked well. The first few games of the season, it worked very, very well. And Nico Fernandez-Mercado, even when NYCFC haven't done so well, he's been providing goals and assists. His productivity has been absolutely top drawer. It's been right up there with what you'd expect from a true number 9. So I think it made sense to leave Nico Fernandez-Mercado through the middle in that position. And Arnau, the effort he had when he ran in behind that was blocked by Jalen Neal, if he'd dinked that over the top of Jalen Neal and the goalkeeper, Gillier, it would have been a wonderful game, a wonderful first start for him. So I know hindsight can be 20/20, but I thought he did himself no harm in that position.
So DC United is the next MLS team, so that they defeated Orlando 3-2, and then after that it's Columbus for New York City. Originally it was going to be LAFC on May the 6th, but that game has been moved to November, whatever that is, in November because of their commitment in the CONCACAF Champions Cup. So Columbus wins 2-0 over Philadelphia. Philadelphia has now 1 win in 10. The name of the new field, it's not Lower.com Field anymore, but I found out what the name of the new field is. Scott's Miracle Grove Field.
That's it. I did know that, yeah.
So the grass better be good all the time.
No excuse. Yeah, the pitch better be good.
There should be and Max Arfson scored the game winning goal. He's got 6 goal contributions. So he's maybe solidifying his spot in the 26 for Mauricio Pochettino and the U.S. men's national team. Who else did I want to point out about that? Oh, Alex Freeman. So he's formerly Orlando is finally got on the field for significant minutes for Villarreal. He made his first La Liga start, and they won a pretty big match while he played the 90 minutes. So there you go.
It was a huge game for them to cement their place in the Champions League. Not mathematically, but you figure that's it. That's pretty much done now. Tajon Buchanan, the Canadian, wasn't involved. But yeah, seeing Alex Freeman, just 21 years of age, starting for a huge club like Villarreal in La Liga, they're third in La Liga. This is a real team. This is a big-time football team, Villarreal. So it's great to see him having that experience. And you would have thought he as well would be inching towards cementing their place. I would have thought, Glenn, that you probably know a little bit more than me about the US men's national team, but I think I'd like to see Freeman in it. That's for certain.
Yeah, no, I believe so. And I think one thing that's getting very interesting, and it's very much something that's close to what we cover, is Matt Freese in goal for New York City FC and Matt Turner in goal for New England. Now, Turner has played very well recently, had 9 saves in the 1-1 draw with Inter Miami. So New England's on the move. They've been slowly moving up the table. They're ahead of New York City FC now in the East. But I wonder how much stock do you take in these particular games where New York City are conceding goals? You're not going to blame Matt Freese for Owusu, just bowling over Kai Truin and finishing that one over the weekend. And Matt otherwise was solid. There wasn't a whole lot of action in front of him. In fact, during the course of that game, do you think? But the more important question here is Turner statistically, and we see all the data. So now I'm seeing folks provide the data that shows that Turner is well ahead of Freese in certain categories and things like that. But how much stock do you take in this, Matty, leading into the World Cup break based on how Freese has performed, which has been at a high level for the U.S. men prior?
I think you have to take stock of how a player is performing going into the World Cup. I think you also have to take big stock on how all the players have performed for the US men's national team when they've been asked to stand up. Let's not forget that Matt Turner conceded 5 against Belgium. Was it Belgium, I think, in the friendly that he played? There was the 2 friendlies, Portugal and Belgium. Matt Freese and Turner split it. So Turner conceded 5 in that. Was he culpable for the goals? Absolutely not. Of course not. Turner is playing well. I think Turner is narrowing the gap. But as of right now, Matt Freese, I don't see how he's not the number 1 goalkeeper for the US men's national team. I know Matt Freese is not looking at it like that. He's still, focused on NYCFC first. And at the back of his mind a little bit is the US men's national team. But the one thing I will say is I don't want my starting goalkeeper, to go into the World Cup having conceded a hatful of goals and low on confidence because the team he's playing for has lost every game running up to it. So I think you do have to take a little bit into it.
Yeah, I think so. And that's why I keep mentioning this Nashville game. I know there's many games prior to that, but that's the game that just takes you into the World Cup break. It's at Nashville. Yeah. So let's see. They've outscored their opponents at Geodis Park this year in Nashville 21-4. And they're unbeaten in 14 of 15 matches played. Now, they have a few matches to play also before that time, so we'll see how it goes. But it seems like they're getting better each time out. They've won in Mexico at the Azteca. That there's been a lot said about that since U.S. teams don't go down there and win. In fact, I guess it's the first one in a competitive game that has. So at that stadium, so that. It kind of leading to what you were saying, if look, you don't want to lose 5-1 to Nashville on the way out. That's the thing.
Absolutely. Matt Freese is the number 1 goalkeeper. There's still a long way to go. As of right now, I would say that he's Pochettino's number 1 goalkeeper.
Agreed.
But Matt Turner, I've been impressed with Matt Turner this year because he's found his form back. It didn't go well for him. The same as it didn't go well for Zach Steffen in Europe. It absolutely was. It was a flop for Matt Turner for everything apart from financially. But he's come back to New England and really found his groove again. And I like that. He's back somewhere where he's comfortable. Maybe not quite as much pressure at New England Revolution as there would have been at Arsenal or Crystal Palace. And I think he's showing us the best of him, which is great because you want there to be.
Well, it's okay to have two good keepers. You know, that's
you want there to be three. You want there to be
bonus,
four.
yeah.
But right now, there's only two. It's only Matt
There's only
Turner
two
and
now.
Matt
Yeah, there's
Freese.
only two. I'm still a Chris Brady fan for the number 3 spot, but we'll see what happens. I don't know if you saw this, Matty. World Cup tickets. This is definitely within your, your commentary fee for New York City FC. I'm sure this will help cover it. Front Office Sports came out with a story saying that there was last week there was kind of almost a final push. I don't know if it's a final, but all 104 matches were the portal was open where you can buy tickets for all 104 matches. Part of what this story is that Front Office Sports went on and they had to wait 5.5 hours in a queue. And they talked to other people who waited 4.5 hours, had tickets in a cart, and then they were logged out, not on their own accord. And it took, another 3.5 hours to get back in. I mean, the World Cup ticket nightmare. But the best part is that there were 4 tickets discovered on the resale market for the World Cup final at MetLife. 4 tickets that were listed at $2 million plus a piece. So Matt, and they weren't even like, you figure, I'm going to be sitting on the bench. They were close, they were low, but they were in different parts of the stadium, and it's like $2 million plus.
The way forward for this is to get tickets late on. I think there'll be tickets available late on secondary sites and much cheaper than they are now.
But if somebody went out and just bought those tickets, all right, FIFA gets 15% of the resale of the seller and then 15% of the buyer. And so they're making $600,000 a ticket. So if all 4 were sold, my great math puts it at what is that, 2.4 million?
Yeah.
If they that FIFA gets if those tickets are sold.
Yeah. Let's not talk about FIFA taking everybody for a ride here.
All right, we won't talk about that. Let's talk about Gotham FC tickets and New York City Mayor Zoran Mamdani. So Mamdani and Gotham got together and they made 1,000 tickets for the next Gotham match on May the 9th at Sports Illustrated Stadium against the Boston Legacy, $5 each. Now, the lowest price ticket, I think currently, this is from the story, is $22 for the Gotham match. So 1,000 tickets, $5 a piece. They were sold almost immediately. But this is what you do, right?
Yes.
To encourage goodwill and also, people of lesser
absolutely
income.
Look, soccer has always been a working class sport throughout the world. Not so much here in the US because things are different. The way football has been grown in Brazil, in Italy, in Germany, in England, wherever else, it's always been a working class game, and tickets have always been kept relatively low. But again, until relatively recently, in England, tickets now are sky high, and yes, real fans are getting priced out. That is an absolute fact, and you don't like to see it. But yes, $5, get people into the stadium, get people buying concessions as well. I don't think you can go wrong when you do that. There's nothing wrong with getting people in on the cheap a little bit. And if they have an enjoyable day, they'll come back and they'll pay $22 the next time. And
I suppose one thing you'll have an issue with is Mamdani is an Arsenal supporter, just so you know.
Yes. Yeah, I saw that he was an Arsenal fan, yeah. He's just about clinging on at the moment. We'll see what happens. I must admit, I'm rooting for Man City, but that's just me.
Yeah, well, it's an interesting final couple of weeks coming up. And then I thought I'd close with this, Matty, because it was really I found this incredible, and it made me think of Jesse Marsh, somebody that had written a book and mentioned something about Jesse Marsh. But in the London Marathon, a Kenyan runner named Sebastian Saw, S-A-W-E, set a world record, became the first to run a marathon in under 2 hours. He ran it's what,
26.2 miles, yeah.
Under 2 hours. So, and I saw a video of him crossing the finish line, and I'm telling you, you know how you see most people cross that finish line, they collapse, and people have to be helped into the medical tent, and he just ran across, and people could...
Yeah, that's quite a sub 2 hour marathon is, yes, quite incredible.
So the Jesse Marsh thing is that I don't know which team it was, but he shared the story with his team about Roger Bannister because he broke the 4-minute mile barrier. But no one, it was one of those things where no one ever thought anybody could do it. And then when he did it, it was like, oh my God, now it gets done more frequently, very frequently. But then no one, it was like this massive, everybody knows Roger Bannister. So what he had the team do, say, and this is the psychology, and I like this, but if they were in a tough moment in a game or whatever, they would look at each other and go, Roger Bannister, and that's, it provided them a little bit of an impetus. And I could see that working, I like those visuals.
Yeah, I very, very much so. And yes, that was an impossible task. Roger running a sub 4-minute mile back then when Roger Bannister did it was deemed impossible. I don't want to say nothing's impossible because some things are impossible, but yes, if you believe that you can do it, you can get out there and do it.
Well,
oh yes, I've seen the train tickets as well.
Yeah, what are our thoughts on that? Well, there's two sides to it. We've heard the new governor say that she doesn't want the regular commuters to have to pay this $48 million bill by having increases and that sort of thing. So
well, I stand by what I always say. FIFA should be footing the bill. Certainly local traffic. FIFA shouldn't be flying people in, but FIFA should be paying for the transit from New York Penn or Newark Penn, wherever people are traveling from, on public transport as well, because you don't want everybody driving to the game. You want people on public transport. But yes, with ticket, not only ticket prices high, train prices are high. If you do drive to the game, it's something like $225, $250. Yes, the football fan is being fleeced, and FIFA have done that for a number of years now. And yeah, I think a lot of the money, I know they will claim that it's a non-for-profit organization, everything goes back into the grassroots, but I for one don't overly believe that either. But that's just cynical old Matt.
All right, that's going to do it for us. Every Monday morning at 11. Hope you come in and join us live, NYCFC Coffee Break Live. But it's also recorded, so I'm going to post it later so you can watch it later if you like to, if you're just catching the tail end or any portion of this at all. And please subscribe and like, and if you want to throw some comments in there, that is fantastic. We love the fact that you're chiming in, those that are watching,
very much so,
to get our opinion or give your opinion. We accept opinions as long as they're clean. We'll consider putting them up there so that we can share it with everybody who is watching and listening. We will not be on the air for the U.S. Open Cup. It's not being broadcast on radio. However, Matty and I will be high above the not above the clouds, but sometimes it seems like that, on the roof at Sports Illustrated Stadium to watch it and give our thoughts. And who knows? Maybe we'll share those along the way somehow on social media. And because it's a big game. It's a big game. There's a trophy involved. It's a derby, and it's happening on Wednesday, 7 p.m. kickoff. And John Rojas over in Barcelona must be watching. What are you saying here, John? Watching FC Barcelona is not less than 300 euros. And not good seats. So he's kind of chiming in with the fact you said that globally it's a little expensive to get into some of these games.
It certainly is. Yeah, I've been to Camp Nou and watched the game. Yeah, it wasn't cheap.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, John. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Matty. We will be back on the air though for the Saturday game. It's a matinee. Well, boy, I love these afternoon games. Sunday. Excuse me. It's Sunday against DC United. It's one of those Apple feature games, but you can listen to us while you're watching on Apple also. That's the fact that we're home. And it's DC United. Sean Johnson coming back to see if he can stymie his old mates with his goalkeeper coach, Cody Mizell, another former New York City goalkeeper. How about that? So we'll welcome them back into to the city atmosphere on Sunday. So, Matty, enjoy the rest of your day.
I will do. You too. And I'll see you Wednesday.
All right, man. For Matty, I'm Glenn. Thanks for watching, everybody, and have a great day.